What up, yo? This your boy Wavy Wayne. I'm here to bring you a list of the top 6 things or the top 6 mistakes that I see young producers making. Before we get into this video, I just want to thank y'all for supporting the channel. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Wavy. And I'm back. All right. So the top mistakes that I see young engineers making, I'm going to read them off, man. I got a little list for y'all right now. One of the first mistakes that I see engineers make, young engineers, new engineers, is thinking that this is easy. Don't play yourself by thinking that this is easy, man. Just because you look at somebody, you know what I'm saying, you watch Wavy Wayne on YouTube, you can't just jump in the field and act like you ready for it, man. This is like you playing Call of Duty and you think you ready to go to war. This ain't the same, man. You got to put some real practice in. You got to have some real training. You got to dedicate your time and effort to learning your craft. If you say this is what you want to do, you got to practice because it ain't easy. Get that out your mind right now. It's going to take some hard work. It's going to take a lot of hours in the studio, a lot of hours in Pro Tools, a lot of time watching Wavy Wayne on YouTube, a whole lot of that. Now, for an easier way to get started, be sure to check out wavywayne.com. You can grab one of my templates, but it still ain't going to be easy. You still going to have to work for it. Now, I set up some things to make it a little more accessible for you, but it still ain't easy, all right? So that's the first mistake, is thinking that it's easy. It's not easy. The next mistake that I see a lot of young engineers making is they don't give the artist enough headroom over the beat, right? A lot of times we download a beat from YouTube or whatever, somebody send it to us or something like that. You got it on a flash drive, you import that beat in. Most of the time, the producer has done everything they can to make that beat loud as possible, make it slap. They done put limiters on it, compression, all of that. So the beat is already loud, eating up all the headroom. One of your first steps should be to attenuate the level of the beat. If you don't do that, it's going to make it hard for you to be able to hear your artist's signal. And a lot of times when that happens, the artist ends up either screaming over the beat, or the engineer ends up turning up the preamp so much that it causes the signal to be distorted. So let's take a look at my session here. You can see very clearly that this beat, and I might be even zoomed in, but you can see just by looking at the squareness of those waveforms that this beat is pretty loud. It was recorded pretty loud. So before I start, I always want to attenuate that beat to make sure that I have enough headroom. Let me just solo this real quick. You can see that I started on this one. I used the volume and I just turned the volume down. Now there's several different methods that you can use. All right. So I turned that volume down, and if you see here, I'm peaking at about -8 or so like that on my fader here, which is cool. That's where I want to be. Or maybe a little louder, but you know, not really too much more than about -6. On my overall mix, on my overall master, before I do any limiting or processing on that master, I want the overall signal to be about -6. So by starting off with the beat lower than that, then I can put the vocals in there, and then, you know, by the time I'm done adding effects and mixing everything in, I still will have enough headroom to stay away from that ceiling, to stay away from clipping and digital distortion. All right. So a couple ways that we can do this. One way is just grab the fader and turn that beat down. Okay. Now, another way that you could achieve this same effect is by using clip gain. Now, I actually like to use this clip gain method. One reason, because if this beat is already super loud, and you can see once I set that fader back to 0, that beat is loud, all right? It is coming in as loud as it possibly can be. Now, the reason why I might suggest using clip gain is that if I wanted to do any processing to this actual beat, like if I needed to EQ it or something like that, right? Let me just slap an EQ on her. You can see the beat is clipping inside of the EQ, right? But instead, if I go ahead and use my clip gain and attenuate that beat by, you know, maybe 4 or 5 dB or so, Now I have a signal. I have a signal now that is much more manageable. The level is away from peaking. I can do whatever EQ I need without clipping. And also now I'm also away from the headroom. So using clip gain is a great way to do that. You can do that by either going to the clip gain info, which is on the bottom left corner of your clip. Or if you right click on the clip, go down to clip gain and hit show clip gain line. Or hide clip gain line, depending on what you need to do. So you gotta select the clip. And you see I have all these different options for my clip gain. You can also access this by going up to the clip menu and then going down to clip gain, all right? So that's that's a couple ways. Another way that you can actually adjust the signal's input level is by using the trim plugin. And if you got one of my templates, then you probably already seen this on there. But I like to go ahead on my beat and actually go down to multi-mono, go to other, and use trim. Now trimming is basically just like using the clip gain. I really don't see any difference. As long as I apply this as the very first plugin in my session, then I can attenuate the signal by a few dB. And I get a lower signal, giving me headroom, and then any other processing that I need to do after that, at least the audio won't be clipping inside the plugin, and I'm far well enough from the ceiling to give my artist headroom to be able to rap or sing on top of that beat. So that's your first mistake, is not bringing the level of the beat down to create headroom for those vocals. The next mistake that I see kind of goes right in line with this, all right, with the headroom, is not properly recording your levels loud enough, all right? Be sure that on your preamp, whatever preamp that you're using, be sure that when you're looking at the meters in Pro Tools as you're recording, that you want to get that signal to peak at about the -6 dB. Now, I'm not talking about moving this fader. Remember, nothing inside of Pro Tools, nothing inside of Pro Tools, inside the software, is going to change your signal input level. If you need to change that input level, you need to use your microphone preamp. That's going to be your first line of defense. Now, you also can move the microphone or adjust the source volume if you're recording something like an instrument or something. But your first line of defense most of the time is going to be your preamp. So make sure that when you are recording, that you balance your signal to be peaking at about that -6, so averaging about that -6. So sometimes it can be a little louder, sometimes be a little quieter, but you don't want that signal to be too loud. If the signal is too loud, obviously, when they get even more excited, it's going to get off into that clipping range. If the signal is too quiet, then, you know, you're going to end up having to compress it and bring it up, which means you're closer to the noise floor. And then anytime you bring that signal up, you're going to be bringing up all the noise from the noise floor too. All right. So make sure that your signals are averaging, your input level is averaging at about -6 dB. And I got a whole video that I'll post up somewhere up here, or is it over here? No, it's over here. I'm going to post it up. Click on that video if you need more information about setting your input levels. All right. Another mistake that young engineers make, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of this too. But I want y'all to be better than me, all right? Be better than me. Don't do what you see Wavy Wayne doing. One of the main things, man, is not naming your tracks. Name your tracks. For one, naming your tracks is just going to help you stay organized. It's going to help you to mix a whole lot faster and move throughout your session a whole lot quicker, right? Without having to figure out what's what. When I open up a session, especially if it's from another engineer, if I have no idea, you know, what's going on, and that's going to cause me internal pain. I'm going to be hurt and upset when I open up a track. Now, in this session, it's not so bad because it's only 3 tracks of vocals, so I can figure out pretty easily what's going on where. But another key thing to remember is that whatever you name the track, the clip also gets named. And, you know, let's just say one day you got to find a certain clip by going over in your clips list or searching for an audio file in your audio files folder. Well, the audio file that you record on the track gets named after the track. So by naming the audio track before, if I name it, you know, Wavy vocals, right? And then I record enable after I set my input. Once I start recording, you see now the new name of this clip is Wavy Vocals. So this is going to help me stay so much more organized, not only inside my session, but also in my files and in my folders as well. Just in case anything gets scrambled up one day and I got to go back and start to find, you know, what's what, and try to find these audio files or anything like that, they will be named. And it helps me to navigate throughout my session. So I'll name these now. This is a A-Game verse. Shout out to A-Game and Real Early. They dropping a mixtape, a EP across the river real soon, all right? So be on the lookout for that. I'll leave some links whenever that drop. This is Real Early. And then this is Early. This is Ad-Libs. Cool. So even if you didn't name the track to begin with, you can name them after the fact. And you see it's pretty easy to name a track. You can just double click on the nameplate and type in the name. You can go to next or previous to go ahead and name the rest of the tracks in your session. But name your tracks and name them before you start recording. That way the audio files get the same name as whatever the track is. Make your whole life a whole lot easier. And when you're working with other engineers, they're not going to hate you. And another mistake that I see a lot of young engineers make, or new engineers making, is they will use excessive amounts of EQ. Just doing really extreme changes to the EQs that I don't feel are really necessary. If you got a good clean signal, you honestly don't have to EQ too drastically. Now you may need to do some stuff to clean up, but make sure that when you are EQing, you use this bypass button. All right. Make sure that when you play your signal back, you bypass it, take the EQ out the chain, listen to how the record sounds before and after you EQ'd it to make sure that the changes that you're making are actually improving or enhancing the sound. All right.
We backed up in the kitchen. It look like Thanksgiving. All these birds moving. On mi madre, mi casa look like El Pollo Loco.
Now, I feel like they cleaned up that signal, but it actually may be a little bit too much taken out in the low end when I hear it go back to 4.
We backed up in the kitchen. It look like Thanksgiving. All these birds moving.
Yeah, I think I like that flavor a little bit more. Now, a mistake would be, you know, going in here,
backed up in the kitchen. It look like Thanksgiving. All these birds.
Doing super drastic changes like this and just making the signal sound so unnatural. He doesn't even sound like himself anymore.
We backed up in the kitchen. It look like Thanksgiving.
So keep your EQ subtle and it'll sound so much better because of it. The last mistake that I'll talk about today that I think new engineers make is overusing compression. Overusing compression. If you don't understand the compressor, check out my video. All right, I got a video that I think does a great job at breaking down the job of a compressor, and it goes into detail. But basically, your compression, especially when you're just getting started, should be just to control the dynamics, right? To just catch any peaks and attenuate them slightly. You don't want to suck the life out of your signals by overusing the compressor. It's very easy to do that. If you're applying large, heavy amounts of compression, you can easily just kill the performance, and it'll just suck. All right, so don't use too much compression. Now, what's too much compression? There's a thin line. Man, too much compression is just like when you just don't feel any of the dynamics of the signal anymore. It sounds like it's all sucked up and pumped out. Everything is just flat. It has no life, no character to the signal. That's when you've used too much compression. Now, I would say, for example, on a vocal, let's play and see what I'm doing with this compression here.
A year ago was so much different. 2017, we backed up in the kitchen. It looked like Thanksgiving.
On my gain reduction meter here, I'm getting approximately 5 dB of gain reduction on this compressor. And you can see that it's only kind of hitting on those peaks for the most part, and is really leaving a lot of the other signal alone.
A year ago was so much different. 2017, we backed up in the kitchen.
So I want them to be pretty even, but I don't want them the life to be sucked out the performance. Let's see what over compression sounds like. Let's say I set my threshold too low and everything just started getting compressed. And maybe I got a ratio of 7 to 1 before I was at like 3 to 1. All right.
A year ago was so much different. 2017, we backed up in the kitchen. It looked like Thanksgiving. All these birds moving.
Now that sound to me, it just sounds so over compressed. There's no feeling, there's no movement in that vocal anymore. Listen again.
A year ago was so much different. 2017, we backed up in the kitchen. It looked like Thanksgiving. All these birds moving.
Okay, you can actually hear how the compressor is squashing down those vocals in certain spots. I'm gonna fix it now.
A year ago was so much different. 2017, we backed up in the kitchen. It looked like Thanksgiving. All these birds moving. On mi madre, mi casa look like El Pollo Loco. We was taking chances. We ain't take advances. They all got questions, but we ain't giving answers. Of course they want the plug, but with a stone face, I had to.
All right, now that sounds a whole lot better to me. So those are just a few of the mistakes that I see constantly that new engineers make. You know, working with new engineering students all the time, every day. I always kind of see and see them making these errors. So what mistakes do you think other engineers make that could be fixed pretty easily? Let me know. Leave a comment below. If you think I missed something, go ahead and let me know. Make sure y'all hit up WavyWayne.com. I got some new templates, some new studio fresh gear, you know what I'm saying, some sauce. I got some Wavy Wayne merch, you know. Thanks for supporting your boy, and be dope.